Hello, welcome back to the Diamonds and Rough podcast. I'm John DeAngelis, joined by Mike Green. Today we got an interesting one. So, as you know, Seahawks had a big upset over the Broncos, and Mike here is a Seahawks fan. And I saw some group chats that I was in, not understanding why Wilson was getting booed and all that stuff, and not understanding the implications of the game. And me being friends with Mike, I had an idea of what it meant, and you were extremely excited that they pulled off the upset. So I thought it'd be a great idea to just let you go off. So you say what you want to say to the people. I'll be here. Maybe I'll input, maybe I won't, but I know you're prepared. You got notes, you got screenshots. I'm sure you're ready for stuff. So
I'm ready.
just take the floor.
All right. Well, I'm Mike Green, like John said. I was on a previous podcast, so let's get into it. So everyone's going off about how, like, oh, okay, why is Russell Wilson being booed? He's the reason they won a championship, which is already false because it was a team effort. We had the Legion of Boom. So everyone's making him out to be like the only person that made us relevant. But again, Pete Carroll put together the Legion of Boom in 2012 when he came into the league. So that's a whole nother thing. I'll get into that. But so basically, I'm just going to get into this. So let's get going. So 2014, it's the Super Bowl. Okay, it's the Patriots against the Seahawks, and we all know what happened. I'm not going to talk about what happened, but this is what's this is this is what started the backlash. Okay, people within the organizations, players and coaches, thought that Russell Wilson made the decision to audible out of a first and goal run to Marshawn Lynch on the goal line. So they think that he made the audible, which obviously ended in an interception and, everything crumbling after that. And this is when the team really started to think, okay, maybe we should keep our options open at quarterback for the future because this guy has an ego problem already. But obviously that never happened because he stayed for a very long time, 10, 11 years. So that was like the big first thing, okay? And that's what really created the divide between the players and the 2013 group because the players can't stand him. Doug Baldwin, Marshawn Lynch, obviously Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, and Earl Thomas. They don't mess with him. They don't like him. They thought he received unfair, like he received unfair privilege, like treatment. You know what I mean? Like just unfair perks, and thought that Pete was always too easy on him. And Russell Wilson is about Russell Wilson. He's not about the team. He's about Russell Wilson, and that's what really rubs a lot of his teammates the wrong way, and that's why a lot of his teammates don't like him. So let's go 5 years after that. Okay, 2019, the Seahawks re-signed Russell Wilson to a big 4-year, $140 million deal. We thought, okay, he's here till 2023. We're good. And the season got off to a great start. Russ was cooking. But then he started to struggle halfway through the season. He threw multiple interceptions. He took multiple sacks instead of throwing the ball away or taking the easy run because he wants the MVP votes. He wants the big throw. He, instead of taking the smart play, which would have been to just run or go out of bounds or just throw it away. This is what really prompted a lot of the people in the organization to re-question what they questioned after the interception throw in the Super Bowl, where they're like, here we go again. He's trying to be the star and the MVP instead of the Seahawks trying to win the division. It was a very hard division at the time. Every game mattered. And it all came to fruition in the week 10 of that year, which was 2019. They played the Rams and they lost in a big game. They were trailing by a touchdown. Russ scrambled to his right, had a massive empty turf in front of him, so he could have run it. He could have ran it, made an easy, quick throw, short pass. It wouldn't, again, it's not the big play, but it's the smart play. Not everything has to be a big play. A 10-yard short pass, that's a good play. So he had all that turf in front of him, and instead of taking the rushing yards like Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen would do, he threw it deep into double coverage, and it was picked off. So Brady Henderson of ESPN Seattle has a source in the organization that's remembered somebody telling him, what the hell was he thinking? Are you trying to win the championship for your team, or are you trying to win MVP? So the front office at this point is like, what are we doing here? We are in a battle first of all, the hardest division in the league at the time. We again, are trying to come back from what happened after 2014. Because again, that's still haunting everybody 5 years later. And you're finally in a position to be one of the top seeds in the NFL again. And here we go, Russell Wilson trying to take over, just trying to take advantage of the situation, get all the MVP, all the MVP, just better points in that scenario, and to just not make the smart plays. So let's get to the. So then what happened was Pete Carroll said, enough is enough. We have to do a more balanced game plan. A lot of what you're going to see on Twitter and all this is let's Russ cook. They were letting Russ cook. Then they started losing with that strategy. Russell Wilson looked terrible after about 3 or 4 games with that strategy. So it's not like Pete told Russell, hey, you can't throw. He didn't say that. He just told Russell, hey, we want to get a more balanced game plan. We need to get Chris Carson more involved. We need to get Rashad Penny more involved because we need to balance the whole offense more, because we can't pass every time and throw these awful picks. So he did let Russ cook, and now he had to adjust. Every good coach adjusts halfway through the season. They won 4 games to end the season with this strategy. They won the NFC West with this strategy. Then it all came crashing down in that awful playoff game against the Rams, where Russ threw a pick 6 that might have been DK Metcalf's fault, but still he rushed and threw a pick 6 for really no reason. He took 5 sacks, and this was when Pete really became unhappy with Russ's willingness to just take sacks. Russ, he just made it all about him. It just that whole thing. You're following?
Yes, I'm following. I'm following.
Okay. So that was the playoff game in 2020, when Russ took the sack and all that, and they got killed by the Rams that day. So Pete was just like, here we go again. He's doing it. But you know what? We're good. So they had a meeting in the offseason where Russ and Pete got together, and they're like, okay, we need to make a change at OC, offensive coordinator, because they both felt like the play calling he was doing was not quick enough. They wanted a more quick offense, a high tempo offense. So they fired the offensive coordinator, and they hired Russ, his new coordinator. And Russ had a lot of input on this decision. It wasn't like Pete Carroll went to Russ and was like, yo, I'm not listening to you. It was a 50-50 decision between Russ and Pete Carroll. And they brought in Shane Waldron from the LA Rams, who's obviously they're known for a high tempo offense, very quick and adaptive to new play styles. So Pete Carroll and GM of the Seahawks, John Schneider, thought that everything was good because they're like, okay, we kind of mended fences because we gave him the OC he wants. We're still backing him. We have our worries, but we're backing him. And then it just drama. Because Russ started putting things out. He started leaking things out. He wanted less. Russ started leaking to his agent, Mark Rogers, that he wants less running happening, which again, we addressed that needed to be more balanced because they were really struggling with the whole, all only throwing thing. Mm-hmm. So he wanted less running. And then this is what really was a huge problem. He leaked that the O-line sucked. He was like, my O-line, he told his agent the O-line sucks. So the agent leaks it to the press. The O-line sucks, and really rolled a lot of people the wrong way was when the agent said, your O-line and your offensive schemes are holding back Russell Wilson from being what he wants to be, which is a top 5 player of all time. And that just showed you right there that he's putting Russell Wilson over the team. Yeah. He only cares about the MVP award and the top 5. He wants to be one of the top 5 greatest players of all time. Tom Brady in New England would take pay cuts. He wasn't always, he wasn't making it all about him. And he won 6 Super Bowls. 6 in New England, 7 in Tampa Bay. One in Tampa Bay, so 7. But how did he win those, John? He won those by having a great, how he won those. You can explain that.
Along with being great, he made sacrifices. He chose to take less money for the team, even though that money was usually doled out in defense, not necessarily weapons for him or anything that benefited him, maybe protection. But rarely was it ever doled out to be a skill player.
But not once in that tenure, did you hear Tom Brady leak something like the Patriots are holding me back from being one of the greatest players of all time? If you want to be one of the GOATs, you got to win championships. You know what I mean? And with Russ, it's like, well, how are you going to win championship, Russ, if you're not making the team decisions, which would get us to the Super Bowl? Instead, you're just doing your old, I'm Russell Wilson, I'm a star. Okay, it just that whole thing, it just doesn't work. So the O line found out. Dwayne Brown was a huge part of the team. Dwayne Brown, it was at the time in 2020, was a very popular center. Okay, he was a very good center. Now, obviously, he's not, but he was a big guy for us, and he was our captain of the O line. And he found out about this, and he was pissed. And all the O linemen were pissed because we're out here. They're out here at least trying their best. Like, you know. And then you have once after their games, they barely can walk for 3 days because they're protecting their quarterback in game. So they obviously that's going to rub the whole line terribly. So this blindsided Carroll and Schneider because they thought, okay, we thought we had it all done. We thought we were good, but this drama queen, here we go again. And now he's calling out his own players, and now the players are starting to see why the 2013 players don't mess with him. And now they're like, oh, we have a real problem because now you're turning the players against the quarterback. But Pete and Schneider, again, they tried. They're like, you know what? We still have a top 10 quarterback. We have to try to keep him as much as possible because, again, he's a top 10. At the time, he's a top 10 quarterback. Carroll was so Henderson goes on to talk about how Carroll was adamant that he wanted Russ to stay. He made that known to all Seattle sources within the organization. Everyone, if you talk to anybody, they'll say Pete Carroll was fighting until the end. He has always backed Russ. Despite past Seahawks players not liking Russ. So Pete really went into last season thinking, okay, I have to manage the drama, but I also have to manage his declining mobility. But I'm Pete Carroll. I have one of the best defense of all time. I made it to 2 Super Bowls. I can do this. That's what he was thinking. So they go out and trade for an alignment, Gabe Jackson. Okay. This was another compromise, and it was a much needed move because, again, the O-line, was it great? No. But was it as bad as what Russ is saying? No. It was average. And so Gabe Jackson comes in, which was, I thought, okay. All Seahawks fans are like, okay, they're listening to Russ. They're giving him the O-lineman he wants. Okay. Not so fast, because then Adam Schefter started reporting that Russ was seeking other options as early as November into that season. So even with Gabe Jackson coming in, even with the new OC, even with Pete Carroll trying to manage the drama and trying to, appeal to Russ with a new offense, because again, Shane Waldron's a whole new offense. He's a high tempo, which was what Russ wanted. He's in November, according to Schefter, he's in November of the season. After he got hurt, he's seeking out other options while the season's still going. So I hope now you're kind of seeing why Seahawks fans are booing this guy. This guy quit on the season halfway into last season because his mind was seeking other options. Okay, why would we not boo this guy? I get it. He gave us a Super Bowl, but the Legion of Boom gave us a Super Bowl too. It's not just Russ. So that happened. Let's see here. So basically, Russell Wilson and all of his interviews is like, I want to be a Seahawk for life. I love it here. I love all my players. I love the coach. But behind the scenes, he's doing the exact opposite. He's trying to out everything, have his agent be the punching bag. The agent's dropping and leaking everything. It got so bad that his agent Rogers got into a very a blow up with the GM John Schneider, because John Schneider was like, I am not trading this guy to anybody in the NFC because we are not about to go up against Russell Wilson in the NFC. That is just not fair. So again, Russell Wilson is fake. He's fake. That is a big reason why the Seahawks fans are not going to give him a bunch of cheers. We're not going to give him a bunch of cheers Monday night. He's fake. He wants you to see him as the good guy, as the the Seahawk for life, and just it's all about him. But he doesn't want you to know his real feelings, which we all knew when all the reporters were leaking everything, and he's the one that's doing all the drama behind the scenes. Let's see. So again, being fake, lying in interviews, having the fans thinking he wants to be here for life. That's why we were all blindsided when the trade happened, because he is literally lying in his interviews, telling everything, and he's like, it's not like just a normal lie. It's like you're going out of your way now. Like he's saying things like, well, I want to be here for 10 more years. I want to retire as a Seahawk. I want to be the one of the players that only, played for the Seahawks ever. Like he's going out of his way now at this point to just, make up lies to appeal to the crowd. And so the season ends. We had an awful season. Russ really never was able to give Shane Waldron's new offense a chance because one, he got injured, and two, he was in November, he was seeking out other options. His mind was over the whole situation. So even when Pete tried to give him a new chance at a new offense, he didn't even give that a chance because, again, he was so adamant about wanting out. And Shane Waldron comes in here, and you see the game plan this past Monday night. I've never seen a Seahawks offense run like that. We were high tempo. We had I was Monday night, some of the plays I saw from Waldron, I mean, this is what we've wanted for a while. And it just really is maddening to see Waldron do this brand new offense. And Russ didn't even give it a chance last season. And, it got so bad. Pete was like, all right, I'm done. Pete Carroll tried everything to keep Russ here happy. And Pete Carroll had enough. Again, he was fighting till the end. But when the player is causing drama to the point where you're losing, and now it's not worth it, and this guy wants $50 million a year, and he's already caused all this drama and negativity in the organization, you got to move on, and you just got to be like, I'm done. That's what I think will happen. And the reports again, I think support this. And I just want to talk about some other stuff. Russell Wilson in the offseason, the trade didn't even go through. And he calls up Bobby Wagner, who is under contract with the Seahawks. This is before Wagner was cut. And he calls up Wagner and says, Bobby, come to Denver with me. I'm going to Denver, and you need to come with me. And Bobby Wagner was like, what? Because this is I think this was January, or it was early February. This was way before March, which was when the trade happened. And it must have been February. But again, he's calling up Bobby saying, come to Denver with me. And Bobby's like, what does that mean? So you're not staying here? You're out of here? And then he's trying to take a player under contract with him. I just thought that was really disrespectful too. And then obviously Bobby got cut, which was awful. I mean, I would never have done it, but I get it. I mean, I think if Russell was still here, Bobby would be here. But because Russ, left the team, why would Bobby be here? It made no sense to keep him, I guess, but still. So that's another scenario. You got Russell actively trying to recruit active Seahawk players to the team he's going to. And this is while he's in the media telling how much he loves the Seahawks. So basically, again, he wants everyone to think he's this golden angel, but really behind the scenes, he's doing the exact opposite of that.
Yeah. One more thing you should mention that you told me that I thought was pretty eye-opening was all the former players are now attending the training camp, because it's popular in training camp where former players of the team, for instance, with the Patriots, you'll see like Julian Edelman come and guys like that, guys who are retired, played with the team, see what's going on in training camp, things like that. You said now you're seeing like camp chancellors coming and stuff like that. Kind of shows a lot.
So the main thing with that is Richard Sherman. Okay, this is the same player that left for the San Francisco 49ers, okay? He was very mad at the organization, okay? Because obviously we cut him and he went to a rival.
Clearly,
Richard Sherman, though, shows up to camp and is doing everything he's just seeing these new young cornerbacks. The minute Russ is gone, you see Richard Sherman at camp, Marshawn Lynch, Doug Baldwin. It's crazy. It's insane because the minute Russ is gone, all these players come back. And it's like, oh, okay. Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense. And Richard Sherman has a podcast, and in his podcast, he's made it clear Russell Wilson needs to win this game, or we're all going to laugh at him and we're all going to criticize him and hold him accountable. He didn't win the game, and Doug Baldwin and Richard Sherman were posting like what am I trying to say here?
Basically slander at him.
Slander, because it wasn't like a normal happy tweet. It was like a ha at their former teammate that they have beef with kind of tweet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I saw a Richard Sherman podcast today actually where he was basically saying Russell doesn't have that power over there to call that timeout at the end of the game, which is First off, one of the worst coach games I have seen by that Broncos coach.
Nathaniel
But
Hackett.
I would have thought 4th and 5 with Russell Wilson, demanding all this stuff, they would have went for it. It just made too much sense than to do a 64-yard kick. I don't care about the, you know, 64-yard kick is what we were going for. The kicker was confident. All that. I don't care. That's just dumb. It's the same thing when the Pats played the Buccaneers and they had Nick Folk kick that Hail Mary kick at the end in the rain. You go for it on 4th down. That's what you do. But anyway, couple things I want to say. I have never been the biggest Russell fan. I've always been a little lower on him than I think most people are. And we talked about this. I don't know if it was in your fit of anger, like when the trade happened and whatnot. But I had always said that Super Bowl win, Russell was basically a system quarterback for that team. And I think it was tough to say he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback because he did in a different situation. Do you agree with that he was more of a system quarterback on that team?
Yeah, I think he was. And this is because of what I've seen the last 3 years of Seahawks football.
Yeah.
See, he has not been himself. He is definitely on the decline. And then he'll play like this, and then he'll go into an interview and say, and the minute he gets to Denver, this is very interesting. He gets to Denver. The minute he gets to Denver, he goes, yeah, it feels so much better now that I'm in Denver because I don't have to carry the team. I'm not the only good player here. And that, I think Doug Baldwin and Richard Sherman they saw that and they replied to it. They're not even hiding it. They're replying to it out in the open on Twitter. Okay. And like rolling their eyes at it. This is the player that, again, continues to say he's one of the best in the league. He wants to be a Seahawk for life. Then the minute he gets to Denver, he puts down that team and he wants to be a Bronco for life.
The only time the Seahawks had success is when they had the best defense in the league and it wasn't close.
Correct.
It's an all-time defense he had with him.
Right. And who made that defense?
Pete Carroll.
Right.
Pete Carroll made the defense.
But so this is why I have a problem with people saying that that we shouldn't be booing them because they're acting.
I was 100% for it.
Right. Also in Boston, we're booing everybody. I mean, I get unless it's Tom Brady.
We booed. No, we did boo Brady.
Correct.
We booed Brady. Now, granted, there were moments of cheering, and it was more of a boo, we want you to lose.
But it also didn't end as badly as it ended with Russ, I feel like.
With the Patriots fans, there was a lot of stuff. Brady wasn't exactly talking about stuff, but there were a lot of rumors coming out that he never said, to be fair. And it was a lot of frustration because it felt like he left and there wasn't much thanks for everything because he'd been with us for like 20 years. And then after the game is when he addressed everything and it was sort of all is forgiven, talking about stuff like, I'm going to retire a Patriot. I am not leaving New England forever. I am coming. This is my home. This is where I grew up. This is where I became a man, all that stuff. And it was kind of like all is forgiven. It was frustrating. It took you so long, but things like that. But this was different. As a neutral fan, not caring for either team, I think I was rooting for Seattle more. But there was animosity between the players and Russ, and you could tell. They were trying to make it seem like it's all love here and da-da-da. Like in the pregame show, they showed him talking.
Oh, the pregame show was insufferable, but continue.
Dude, like, there was real anger there. Jamal Adams was on fire. Like, you could tell he was really mad.
And then he got hurt.
Yeah. And then he got hurt. But they wanted that game bad.
We all wanted it bad. Pete Carroll, though. Pete Carroll's,
he was so obviously.
And in the media, he even said it was huge. And he said it was even bigger for the 2013 Legends. And then somebody was like, well, why is that? And he's like, you can figure that one out.
Yeah.
Okay. We're not we don't like him right now, and he doesn't, and that's how it is. Okay. He'll still be a Ring of Honor member, but careful what you wish for, Russ, because you now have a worse coach, in my opinion, after what we've seen in Nathaniel Hackett.
I don't think that's an opinion.
And I think he's awful. Well, that's, again, it's early. It's week 1. But also, if we can just look at the game as a whole, I feel like the Seahawks threw it more than the Broncos at times. I don't know. And I also thought that the Broncos ran the ball a lot and that they didn't believe in Russ. Again, they traded all these picks. It's we're at the fifth. It was a 64-yard field goal, and
Yep.
you're gonna go for it. I mean, I'm sorry, you're gonna kick the field goal instead of going for it.
It
Pete
was
Carroll wouldn't have done that. Come on.
it was 4th and 5, and honestly, it felt like the Seahawks defense was getting tired towards the end. I don't
Right.
know if you felt that.
Oh, they
And
were
it
they
felt
were
like it was a very
bad.
manageable 4th and 5.
Oh yeah, I think they would have got it.
I 100%. I was like, all right, they're gonna go for it here, and it's good. And they had 3 timeouts, 54 seconds, I believe. Like they could have gone as close as they want, I think. And maybe even like if they needed to, they would have had a chance to score a touchdown if that's what they wanted. Like the Seahawks defense was tired. That linebacker who I never heard of on your team, he
Uh,
was balling.
Stewie,
Um,
Chargers, or was it Jordan
no,
Brooks?
no. He was like light
Oh,
skinned.
Barton.
He was balling, and I
Yeah,
think he got hurt.
he's
Um,
fine. He's fine.
yeah, it like not like he was coming out of the game, but like he
Yeah,
was clearly slower and agitated.
yeah.
It made no sense for them not to go for it. It is weird. He gets traded because it seems like he wants more control, but he has less control.
That's what I think it is. I mean, again, I don't think Pete Carroll would ever have done a 65-yard field goal over giving the ball to Russ at 4th and 5. And Pete Carroll's jaw was on the ground when he saw a field goal unit out, and that's why he took a timeout. Okay.
Yeah.
So again, very risky decision by Russ. He left DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett too. I'm just going to say that. And there are decent receivers in Denver, but again, I think it's a downgrade weapons wise than Seattle was. And again, you're playing the Chargers, Raiders, and Chiefs twice a year.
It's a worse situation as far as who you're playing. I think offensive weapons wise, they're better just because you look at the running backs. And I'm also higher than on Judy than majority of people, so I can acknowledge that. I'm not high on Sutton. I don't see it, but you know, it there was a lot of lying on his end. I want to stay, and then the trade happens and he's the happiest guy, and um
We'll see if he's still happy after Monday.
I mean, I was just so baffled. Like, look, wouldn't he be mad? Like 2 goal line fumbles?
Oh, his agent made a phone call right away. His
Oh
agent
yeah.
was like, "Are you kidding me? You know that they won't make this mistake again." Oh, believe me. But I think this coach Hackett, he could be fired after 1 year if he doesn't clean his mess up. Let me tell you.
That was such a I couldn't believe what I was watching, truthfully. Um I don't know. What I will say is I could see the animosity and the tension from everyone. And I was happy you guys pulled it off, even though you're not looking necessarily to be a playoff team or anything like that. When
Hey,
a
they
win
beat San Fran.
matters, when a win matters, a win matters. And speaking of your game next week, I have picked you in the spread.
Oh my
That
God, I was gonna say that lock on the Seahawks. They're like 10-point
that
underdogs. Oh, that's
Mike, that was
crazy.
my number one lock.
We're 4-0 against them. We were crap last year and we beat them twice. Come on.
That was my number one lock for those of
Yeah,
you who haven't watched the pick'em. I'm doing 3 locks a week, and Seattle was my most confident. If I had to bet a lot of money, that's what I put it on. They're plus 9.5. Trey Lance is trash.
agreed.
Um,
I think we win.
I wouldn't be surprised if you win. I just don't think San Fran wins by 10 or more.
No, I agree with you. Especially every Seahawks game comes down to the last minute usually.
Exactly, but
So,
um, so yeah, I think we basically covered anything. Russell Wilson is not innocent here. In our opinion, in most of the reportings out there. And it's just a body language thing. You can tell, right? No one's going to outright say it, but you can tell with everything out there. And,
agreed.
you know, that was kind of a rough loss for the Broncos and a rough start to his career, even though he did fine, I guess.
He was underthrowing receivers. I
He
don't
made,
know,
he
man.
made like, he just seemed like a system quarterback
Yeah,
again.
I was not impressed with Russ. They threw it, and again, they were down, so they threw it more. That's why the yards was going up. But
Well, what I'm saying is like he had the one throw to Judy, great throw, great. Actually, it was a little
I thought it
underthrown.
was underthrown.
It was a
Yeah.
little underthrown. Judy made a great play, but a lot of dump offs from him. Nothing really special he was doing.
Yeah. He's great at handing the ball off. Also, he threw it right to Quandre Diggs. I think he might have thought he was a Seahawk again because he threw it right to Quandre Diggs. I was like,
Yeah.
ooh. And then at the press
Also,
conference, he almost said, "Go Hawks."
I just want to say my opinion on the audible. I have a feeling it was a mix of Pete and him. Just because
Probably.
Pete never outright was like I feel like Pete said it was his fault.
I
Has
think
anyone
at the
taken
time,
blame?
I think Pete will always protect Russ, but now that Russ is gone, I think that Pete's not going to protect Russ.
Here's
So
what I think it was. I think the original play was in a run, but he wanted to do it in shotgun. So if Russ saw something different, he could make it a pass. I think that's what happened. I think Russ, as soon as he lined up, you see him like motion some people, and it was like he's changing the play.
correct.
Because I've watched it back when you said that because I never thought about it.
Yeah.
And I think it was a situation of Pete put it in shotgun to give Russ the option to do a pass if he wanted. Because realistically, if you're running with Marshawn, why do we need to pretend? Why do we need to pretend it's a pass? Like,
It's dumb. It's
but
dumb. Also, the shotgun on the 1 yard line thing is going to drive me insane. Broncos were doing it all night Monday. I don't know what the heck these people are thinking. It's dumb.
yeah, what happened to just you have Javonte Williams? Just
Really. And like 1 yard line, don't do a shotgun. It's so dumb. Seriously.
I
And they,
agree.
they fumbled it twice in the shotgun formation. It's so dumb.
The only thing I say you do it is if it's a do or die play and the like QB might need to make room. You know what I'm saying? If it's like 4th and goal and you gotta have it,
Maybe. Yeah.
maybe you go in shotgun to be like give the QB more time if he has to make a
Correct.
play. And that's only if you have like a Mahomes or a Herbert guy like that. But
Yeah. Agreed.
so we have talked about your Seahawks hopes, but I will let you say them before we end this.
Dude, I don't know. I thought it's been like crazy because I got under the Drew Lock spell for no because again I was just miserable and now I got the Drew Lock hopes. I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna be average. And then I saw Drew Lock play football and was like, we're screwed. And then we got Geno Smith in and I was like, let's go 3-13. Then we beat the Broncos. So it's like, okay.
And he looked fine.
Right. And I had us beating the Broncos and I had us beating the Niners twice for the 3 wins. So I think they could be average now, especially if they beat San Fran, because then they got Atlanta after that, and I think they're going to beat Atlanta. They could be 3-0. I'm just saying.
They could honestly.
And the NFC blows, so they could make the playoffs. I don't know.
You're just gonna watch.
I'm gonna watch.
You're
and
just
whatever
happy
happens,
you got
happens.
that win,
right?
And move on, see what happens.
They play good. They play good. They don't play good. They don't play good. Whatever. I think
Yep.
they're going to be average. That's my prediction.
I feel like we're kind of similar. We're just hoping certain guys improve.
Correct.
But thank you for doing this. I feel like some people needed to just hear a Seahawks perspective on what went down, how they're feeling. Because it
I
impacts.
Need to get a ran out.
Yeah, I could tell. There was one point I wanted to step in, and you were just going like, you know what, he's got it.
My bad. That's why I tried to stop like halfway.
No. You're good. You're good. But
it's
thank
just the
you.
media. The media, man. The media. It's just
Constant.
ESPN.
Constant. Now you can kind of close that book, sorta.
Yes.
Unless Russ like goes somewhere, but honestly, I wouldn't be worried about
Not my
that.
problem. Not my problem. If he goes somewhere, that's good because the Broncos will be not good and we have their picks.
I meant go somewhere as in like the Broncos do anything relevant, like make the playoffs or anything. But I really don't see that. Even if they make the playoffs, they'll lose week 1, the first round. But
I agree.
Thank you for joining. Obviously, we'll have Mike on more. I thought since we have the hot takes segment I like to do, I'd have you on for that because I know you got hot takes.
Yeah, man. Justin Herbert.
I know you got hot takes.
Yes, sir.
So maybe I'll have you on for one of those, but appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for listening. Also just want to plug some other Diamonds in the Rough stuff I have. Obviously audio, you can find it on Spotify, Google Podcasts, pretty much anywhere. If you want the video form, that is on YouTube. I upload those. If you want some shorts, if you're like, I can't necessarily listen to every podcast or anything that comes out, I do a highlight or a funny clip from a podcast. I have that on TikTok and Instagram, DITR_podcast. So check those out. I'm pumping content out all the time. And it's very fun for me. Doesn't even feel like a second job really. But so yeah, thank you everyone for listening and tune in next time.